Welcome back to the channel. As you've probably noticed, the eagle-eyed among you, this is now the Tao of Sigma rather than Rise Beyond Limits as it was before. This is a change that is aligned more with my new books that are coming out. The first one, the Life Mastery book, which should be due out in the next few weeks, is with the editor, and the one after that, the Sigma Code, will then be going through that review process shortly after. What follows next is really a podcast that I did with Bjorn Olsen over in Singapore. We sat down on Zoom just after the Chinese New Year, where we talked more about my personal development journey, my coaching, and also speaking from stage. We actually both did a program back in December called the Master Facilitator Program out in Penang, Malaysia. So I've included a segment of that here for you to enjoy, to find out a bit more about me and that side of my life. So here it is.
All right, welcome, Ed. It's so good to see you again. It's a few months ago since we met in Penang, Malaysia. Had a really good time at the seminar there. So welcome. How are you? And where in the world are you right now?
Thank you, Bjorn. Yes, it was. It seemed like a lifetime ago back in Penang. I can't believe it was only December. I'm just outside London in the UK. It's nice and sunny here for a change today. It's been really cloudy and horrible for the last few days, but the sun has come out for this interview, which is amazing. But it's only 3 degrees outside, and I'm sure where you are, it's a lot warmer than that.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's nice. It's like probably 32 degrees outside, I think now. But we have had massive amounts of rain the last couple of months, unusual amount of rain, which is very surprising for Singapore. But now, after Chinese New Year, it is hot. But I love it. You can go out in the middle of the night, shorts and t-shirt, and it's just like 30 degrees, you know?
Yeah, I know. I missed that. When I was in Penang, it was great. It was just go out. It was warm. It was fantastic. Yeah.
All right, so Ed, I'm very curious. I'm so happy to have you on because your life is very, very interesting. And I spoke with you briefly at the seminar, and you shared a little bit about your life, about your personal journey, and you're an actor. You've accomplished so many things in your life. I was reading an article about you just before this, and I was like, I can't keep up with all the things that you've done. Like it's very interesting. Like you have a wide range of experience in so many different areas. So for our viewers that are listening, do you want to share a little bit about what you do, and then we'll talk a little bit more about your coaching and the personal development a little bit later, if that's okay?
Yeah, absolutely. What I'm doing at the moment is I've kind of got 2 strands to my bow. One is my acting and filmmaking, which I really enjoy, and it's something I've kind of come back to more in recent years. I got the bug when I was about 7. I actually wandered onto the set of Herbie Goes to Monte Carlo in Monte Carlo, and I guess it stuck then, but I never kind of realized it until my later years, and I absolutely love it now. But it is one of those industries that is very fluid with its dates. Sometimes you're working, sometimes you're not. So in the rest of the time, I'm actually developing my personal development side, my coaching, training and speaking business, which I've got set up. I'm writing a book that goes along with that as well, which really kind of goes through the framework that I use, and really giving back a lot of my business acumen that I've developed over the years from both working in corporates and running my own companies. So it's kind of giving back to anybody who needs that help and get some transformation.
That's amazing. That's really, really good. Yeah, it's very, very interesting. Okay, how did you walk onto the set? I mean, like at what age, 7? Like in Monte Carlo, right? Like how did that happen?
I was on holiday with parents, and we were just down there visiting and wandering around and exploring the south of France. And we went over to Monte Carlo, walking around, absolutely loved it there. And literally we're just walking along the beachfront, walked around a corner, and on this big roundabout, there was this basically on location set. So you had all the actors, you had the different cars there from the movie, obviously Herbie as well, the lights, the C-stands, the directors, the production, everybody was there. And it was just this bustling mini micro village of activity and life, and it just seemed sort of happy and joyous. I guess it helped being in the summer in the sun in Monte Carlo. What's not to like? But there was just something there that was magical that kind of stuck with me. And I guess I took that on. I went to the film club at school, so we were always watching and analysing the old movies. I ran my own immersive theatre troupe for about 12 years. And so I kind of would in and around the business, but more on the theatre side for quite a while, in parallel with my day job, which was project management and software development. Um, and it's just kind of always been there. Stories are kind of my DNA, I guess.
So you always felt this, okay, you always had a talent for that, right? It was just a natural thing for
Yeah.
acting. You were in school, like that was kind of something you were always involved in, and the plays and all the things that went about.
Well, yes and no. I was that shy kid. I didn't like to be the main actor. So I always tended to lean more to production. So I would always be in the wings, setting up, organizing, planning, structuring, supporting, putting the events on. And I guess I took that through and started running my own events and own theatrical things. So I would always be more the producer director. And kind of as it developed, I then stepped into playing different roles within the productions. Sometimes it was needed. We had one production, we were doing a 5-night run for Halloween, and one of my main actors, he was playing H.R. Geiger's Alien. Unfortunately, on the first night, he tripped over and got concussion. So I had to step in and do the 5-night run in his place. He's absolutely fine. But there was things that can go wrong on productions that you don't expect.
Oh man, so then you just but the script, what to say, how do you do that? Like to me, that would be I would freak out. I don't know what I would say, or like how do you do that? Did you know the script so well then you could just step in and do it?
Fortunately for that part, it was a physical part because he was an alien monster. There was no speaking. And it was because it was an interactive theatre or immersive theatre, as we call it now. You're very much led by what the people do. So
Uh,
you react to them and they react to you, and then you kind of build up this scene. It was a very simple scene, and there was the military guy would come round and clear me out to basically end the scene. So it was very, very simple. So you just have to roll with it. Obviously, some things when there is a script, you've just got to learn fast, and sometimes you just have to kind of improvise and work your way around it and do the best that you can, particularly in an immersive theatre and a very live event like that. But once you're doing film and TV recording, you've normally got a bit of time to prepare and remember the script. Normally, not always, but you just have to do it. And the more you do it, it's like a muscle, it becomes trained. When I first started learning scripts and lines, it used to take me an absolute age to remember it, internalize it, get it into the memory. And learning lines is only kind of 10% because you've then got all the physicality, the emotion, and then the interactivity with the other people on screen. But now I've actually trained that muscle and I can learn scripts relatively quickly. So
Interesting. That is very interesting. So, because this stuff that I've never, done any acting like that. I always wonder, how do you memorize it? Is there like a framework to make it easier for you to be able to stand on stage? Because I don't know. I'd love to hear more about that. But can you share us just some secrets or some tips on? Because I met you, you're very confident. You stand there, you're relaxed. We all drawn to you because of the presence that you have, and it's like you're obviously a leader, and you're successful. You've done all this for many years now, but just your presence. Can you share, like on stage? Yesterday I did a training. We had translation to Vietnamese to Chinese. It was like a lot of people from all over the world, but I didn't control the room very well. So I would love just some tips when you stand up front. What are some insights that you've developed or that you can share with us that to like almost control the room or to manage it with your presence? And what do you do in such certain situations when things maybe go wrong or not according to what you had planned or whatever? Like, how can you just share some tips for somebody like me who's doesn't have the skill set developed that you have yet?
sure. I guess that the one key thing is stay calm. And it's really having that center in yourself. It's the place that everything else comes from. And that's something I've kind of developed over the years. And again, it's part of me, a little bit of a Zen-like centeredness, that having that calmness and that stillness, people immediately look at you as like, oh, okay, you know what's going on, because you're not flustered. Sometimes you can get flustered, And you sometimes need to take that moment of like, hang on, step back, breathe. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'm back. Right. Or you might need a moment to think about something that's just gone completely left field that you weren't expecting. But if you just dive in and become chaotic like the situation, you often perpetuate the problem. Whereas sometimes you just need to kind of say, okay, let's take a break, take a moment, let's look at the way this should be. Okay, let's do this. And I think it all comes from that. And again, part of the acting training is about that. It's finding that stillness, that place in you where that character comes from. So in a way, I can borrow from that training, being on stage, and go, okay, I'm now on stage, I'm leading the room, I need to be centered. So it's planting your feet so you stand solidly, having that presence, which again, you need in acting. You have to be totally aware of what the other actors are doing around you and what's going on in the scene, just like you are subconsciously in any environment that you're in normally. You'll hear a sound, you'll know what it is, you'll know how to react. But having that presence is like you're there with the audience and you connect with them, you look at them in the eyes. It's certainly initially when you go up on stage, and you create that sense of we're all here together, and I understand my responsibility standing up in front of you is to guide, to lead you in whatever it happens to be, whether you're emceeing an event or whether you're actually delivering the keynote. And then that is the initial moment that is kind of the foundation, the seed that kind of pulls everyone in. And then after that, it's having the tonality, the structure, and certainly what we learned on the program, certain key pieces that help you rapidly kind of connect everyone together as a whole. Does that help?
Yeah, no, it helps. The thing is, getting to that place, right? Can everyone develop that, learn that? Because you seem to me as somebody who's probably, that's a natural thing, or you've always kind of been like that. So people are kind of drawn to that. So it's easier for you, but for other people, maybe like me, who get more flustered, how would I find that place when there's tons of people in the room, or chaotic? Or is this something I have to prepare before I get on stage and be like, this is what it's gonna be like? Okay, and I'm here, let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone can learn it. Some people it might take a bit more work, and some people might have a natural talent for it. I was certainly the nervous newbie a long time ago. I got dropped in it about 20 odd years ago. I was working for a company, I was a management consultant, and somebody dropped out and they said, right, you've got a 20-minute slot in a week's time for our international European conference, 400 people in the room, you're going to talk about this, you've got a week, off you go. And I was absolutely nervous as hell. I was not the guy you see now. Literally, someone like picked me up, dropped me on stage and went, off you go. And I was like, oh my God. So
I know the feeling,
totally can be learned. So I've been through that transformation from the not really sure what I'm doing, why am I here, sort of imposter syndrome, through to the comfortable, confident, okay, you can put me in front of people, and I have that journey that I've been through that I can bring, okay, I've got this. So absolutely can be learned. A few little things that some speakers do before going on stage, they do like a little bit of a physical workout, jumping jacks, just bring the energy up so that they have, and it gets rid of the nerves, it takes the nerves away, because doing some kind of physical exercise relaxes the body. It could just be jumping on the spot, simple things like that. It gets some of those nerves out of the way. So once you walk on stage, you have that time as you walk across to take your deep breaths, just to calm yourself down and get your whole center, then plant yourself in the center, take a couple of breaths, take nice slow breaths while you're looking at everybody. And that really can help you bring that together. And some of it is just practice. Just stand in front of a mirror, look at yourself, or record yourself preparing, rehearsing, and then look at it back and be critical and go, I was standing a bit funny there. I need to center myself more. Okay, I need to stand. Okay, my shoulders are a bit weak. Okay, I need to bring those up. And just doing that little bit of rehearsal can bring you from not having the right posture just to having the right posture. And that shift in posture can do 80% of the work for you.
Wow. Oh, this is very helpful. So this is the stuff that you teach, I'm sure as well. So when you're in a room and you have all these people looking at you, like what like projecting your voice, do you have any tips on how to do this to bring everyone's attention in, and then just not necessarily managing in a room, but the way you posture, way you carry yourself, deliver things, you say you look people in the eye. Any tips on just stage presence, or how to deliver a message or something like that while you're on that stage?
This is where it gets into, because I've been doing it for a while, I slip into a bit of intuitive mode. Because now going back and having to analyze it, I'm like, what do I do again? I don't remember. I just do. But that's the stage of, you go through the sort of unconscious unknowing, conscious unknowing, that all the way through to eventually going, I got this, which is the normal journey. I think it's really just, for me, it's staying centered, staying present, and just being aware of what's going on in the room, because part of me is delivering the message, and there's a little bit of my brain that's sitting in the background watching what's going on, going, oh, that didn't land right, no, that wasn't right, okay, what's going on over there, someone's fidgety, that section of the room's starting to get a bit okay, what can I do to do it? And then obviously the more you get familiar with your program or what you're doing, sometimes you can throw in a pattern interrupt just to try, and everyone's like, oh, hang on, we're back, whatever it is. But I think it's really having that presence and that contact. So if you are throwing out periodic questions, which you should be, like, how many of you find that it's much easier to work on a sunny day than it is, whatever, it's very simple questions. You start to get that engagement, you start to bring people back in. So it's really having that sort of question response periodically that keeps people engaged. You're going to lose some people. Not everyone's going to stay on board, but obviously if you do have someone ask you a question, it's connecting with them almost as if they're the only person in the room, but being aware that you're not just answering their question. There could be 30% of the room having exactly the same issue, that you're also responding to others and maybe bringing them in. Like, they might ask you a question, it could be anything, it could be a business technical issue about marketing or something, and then you can ask, well, how many of you also feel this way in the room? So you kind of include everybody in your conversation, but you're still making it very focused to them, so they're not feeling like they're just some random person standing up in a room. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And and also what I'm hearing is as well, is it just kind of struck me. I've spoken to some other people on these interviews that we do as well, and what it struck me is that they're very aware of what's going on around them, more than I would say the average person. So when I talk to them, they can point things out, like in the room, like there are two things going on, what they're saying and what they're doing, but they're also very aware of everything else happening. And because they're aware of that, they're able to step back, breathe, and then be like, address that issue or that issue. And I think some of us, who are more on me, would be like just so focused on like what I'm going to say or teach or whatever, that I forget about even being aware of that. And so you miss out the whole thing. So what I'm hearing is like, you're very, very aware. And because of that, you can be centered, and then you can address and deal with those things. And like I say, you probably just like you said, it takes practice, and the more you do it, the better you get at it. And be comfortable. But you're right, like, if just being centered in the beginning, that's the main thing. And because you can't be aware, or you can't be present, you can't be, conscious of all those things if you're all over the place, So anyways.
Thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought about that in the comments below. If you've got any questions or burning topics you'd like to discuss, pop them down in the comments too. If you'd like to watch the rest of that podcast, it's an hour long in total, you can check that out on Bjorn's channel here. And remember, dream, dare, rise.